let's talk about selling the dream. All right, so now we're going to get into the finding, awarding, selling franchises. Okay, all the different ways you can find good prospects, some of the associated costs with it, what you can say, what you cannot say. You learned a little bit of that this morning. So just to remind you again, so we have both our sister companies up here, but FCC, which is a great franchise matchmaker consulting group, which is our sister company. There's some other really good ones out there, right? There's a few, Franchisor, IFPG. We're happy to introduce you. When you are ready to really start filling your funnel with leads, you can get set up with multiple matchmaker consultant groups, and you could have 2,000 people representing your brand across the country, sending you leads. But you got to be prepared for that. Somebody in your team has to be ready to answer territory checks. Hey, I've got somebody in Dallas, Texas. Do you have territory available here? Somebody has to respond to that. Yes, we do. Then they're going to eventually send that person to you. Who's going to talk to this individual, right? So that's when you have to be ready. We'll coach you when we think you're ready for that. But with FCC, what's nice is you're going to be able to get into their inventory for free the first year. All right, so let's talk about leads. So awarding, selling franchises is not that easy. All right? So that first funnel, organic and paid. So this is your efforts, right? This is you spending money online or whatever you're doing to bring leads in, right? So you are going to get lots of people that are just kicking tires. They don't have any money. They're bothering you. They're just looking around. They might be thinking about it in 2, 3, 4, 5 years or whatever. So that's a huge funnel of leads that comes in from your marketing efforts, and 1.5% of those will actually end up purchasing your franchise. So it takes a lot of time and effort from somebody on your team to sort through those, get rid of them as fast as you can, because they're just going to be wasting your time. Then we come over to the consultant groups we're just talking about, right? Now, that looks small too. Look at the deals down there. 10, 11, 12, 13% of those you'll sign. That seems low, right? They're sending you qualified leads. Well, the gentlemen and the ladies that are at FCC are going to be showing them multiple brands that are a good fit for this candidate of theirs. They just want them to buy something, right? They're going to match them up with brands that are a good fit, all different types. They just want them to buy one of them so they can get their commission. They're not just focused on your brand. But the good news is, it is going to be someone that they've gone through what we call a 2-minute drill that we prepare for you. It's like bullet points that makes it really easy for them to explain the highlights of what your brand is all about and the startup cost to try to get them excited about it and want to learn more. And if that candidate says, yeah, I want to learn more about this one, then they send them to you with their entire background. You're going to know all the details about this person that they've learned, so you'll know that ahead of time, and you know that they want to learn more. But know that they're also looking at other brands too, probably. Referrals, obviously, these are the best leads, right? Referrals are usually going to be coming from people you know. Oftentimes, your existing happy franchisees. They're in Dallas, they've got a really good friend that's in Iowa that would love to look at your franchise as well. They've already pre-sold them. They've told them what the costs are going to be. So these are really good leads. So that's usually more like about a 50% closing ratio. Incoming leads. So, as I was saying, here's another thing. About 60% of the leads come in after hours. They're sitting at home on their computer. So what's going to happen if a lead comes in at night? They're looking around at other places too, right? First of all, you want to have an automatic email that goes out. In the early days, I'm hoping that you're going to be sitting there checking your emails constantly for a lead, because speed to lead is really important, folks, because they're looking around. They're probably asking for information from several different brands. 75% are not qualified or serious buyers, as I said. Did you do a quick introductory call, maybe 15 minutes? Hi, how are you? Why are you looking now? Where are you from? Blah, 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 blah. Maybe some basic information. And then you decide at that point whether you want to take the next step and schedule a presentation call where you go into a deep dive about them and your brand. But you want to get rid of these people quickly if they're not qualified and not serious. So, introductory call, then the brand opportunity presentation, Zoom. Always, always have their spouse or significant other on the call, no matter what they say. They say, oh, no, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm going to be owning this business. And let me tell you, Steve and I have seen so many deals, and all the consultants, so many deals, that the last minute, nope, she usually squashes it, right? What are you doing, spending our life savings? What are you talking about? We had an old saying, it's like, you either do it with them or to them. And when you do it to them, it doesn't work very well. Do research. I mean, we were talking earlier about whether they are a good fit for your brand, right? Do as much research on this It's much easier to do that now than it used to be. Google them. Look them up on LinkedIn, any other resource you have. Facebook. Try to figure out who this person is and see their background. And when you do get in touch with them and you set up a presentation call, you are going to want to try to oops, it just fell on me. Learn as much about them as possible. Remember, we're trying to figure out, are they a good fit or not? Where'd they go to school? What are their hobbies? I mean, everything about them to find out who they are and why they're doing this. It's called selling a dream because now you're really trying to find out what is their dream, okay? It's not your dream, it's theirs. So when you do that presentation call, as I said, you're going to try to find out every detail about them as possible, trying to figure out, are they a good fit? But think about this. I told you earlier that most of the people buying this franchise have never owned a business before, okay? Second of all, it's their goals and dreams of business ownership, not yours. Another statistic, and I don't know the real number for this, but I'm going to guess that 75% of the time they end up buying a franchise that they never thought of and never heard of. So it's totally different, all right? You hear this all the time. Oh, I've got to be passionate about the business I buy, Rick. No, you don't. You're not buying a hobby. I am an addicted fisherman, but I sure don't want to be a boat captain out there in horrible weather with a jerk in my boat all day, right? You're trying to find a business that will give you the lifestyle that you want to be passionate about. That's what you're doing. They are constantly buying businesses they would have never thought of, never heard of. When Nick was showing you the A, B, C, D models, right, you're going to fit in one of those giant groups. So when people are looking at certain businesses, there's going to be a bunch of them that kind of fit in that area, right? But the consultants are going to show them all sorts of options that they had never heard of. And they say, trust me, let me go through this one with you. Boom, boom, boom. Wow, I had never thought about this. So I was in television advertising sales in my first career for 6 years. All my friends thought that was the coolest, sexiest business, right? I left that to go into franchising, commercial cleaning, janitorial services. They were picturing me, cleaning toilets and running around with a mop, bucket, and wringer. No, I was wearing a suit and tie to work every day. I said, we're a marketing company that just happens to be in commercial cleaning. So you're going to try, after really learning a lot about this person, you're going to try to show them how your franchise model will fit what they're looking for. Whatever their background is, whatever their goals are, how does yours help them achieve their dream? And if it doesn't, it's easy to get rid of them quickly, right? If yours really is not a good fit for them. You get into everything. They're scared to death. They're thinking of leaving their job, right? Health benefits, whatever. They think it's secure. It is not. A lot of them had wake-up calls during COVID, right? So they're terrified to leave it. Everybody dreams of owning a business, but when it comes right down to stroking that check and doing it, that leap, they're terrified. You are going to give them the support system to help ensure that success and relieve them that they think, okay, I can do this. I really believe in this team. They've got great marketing support. Anything that they need to help ease their mind about making this big jump into the business ownership business. So after you've given this formal presentation, right, the next step is going to be, okay, I like this person. I want to learn more about them. They're interested in learning more. I'm going to send you a CQ, candidate questionnaire, confidential questionnaire. Once I get that back, and now it's asking more detailed financial questions, because in the beginning they don't like to give that out, but now they're feeling more comfortable about you and the model. So once you send that to me, Mr. Candidate, I'm going to send you my FDD. You're going to disclose them, right? And in the last page, item 23, they sign for it. So you're going to do this online. You want to have where they can sign it online, and that when they sign as proof that you've disclosed them and give them the FDD to review, that'll automatically come back to you as well. Then you schedule an FDD review call with them. You want them to read over everything, write down all their questions, get all the details, and then you set up an FDD review call with them where you go back through and hit all these important points and answer any of their questions. So some of the key things, right? Okay, franchise fee. What any other upfront fees do they have to pay you? What are my startup costs going to be? What other costs are there for me to get this franchise opened up? What's a territory like? This is going to be a big decision that we're all going to help you with, and you seeing some of your competition will give you some ideas there. One of the biggest mistakes that franchisors make is they give away too large territories to their franchisees, because you've never been restricted. Hell, you'll drive anywhere, right? You can drive an hour and a half to a client. You don't want your franchisees doing it. You're driving by all sorts of potential customers, right? You want them to really focus on whatever their territory is and develop that and uncover as many customers as possible, because the more franchisees you have out there doing this, the more royalties that are coming back to you. Time and time again, we see clients that started off giving away really big territories, and then they find out 2 years later, oh my God, I could have had 2 or 3 franchises in that same, and it would have tripled the revenues. Because everybody kind of has their comfort level. That franchisee is going to work so hard and so much effort and money to develop a territory. And then all of a sudden, they're making really good money. Oh, I don't want to spend any more time, effort, and money to continue developing this, right? So you want as many franchisees as possible to do that. So we'll help you figure that out. Obviously, you want to make sure you're leaving enough profit, there from the royalties you're collecting, and enough opportunity of customers that they can earn a good living, they're going to be happy and maybe want to buy another territory. The FPRs, so that's item 19, franchise performance representations. We were talking about that earlier. These are the numbers that you put in there that you're allowed to talk to a candidate about. Revenues, profits, things like that. So it's going to start off with just your numbers of your existing business. And even if your business is going to be larger or a little different than the franchisee model, that's fine. It goes in there. There's going to be qualifiers that explain the difference. But you want to have as much detailed information in there as possible that you can talk to that candidate about. They want to know, how much money can I make? How fast can I get an ROI on my investment? How fast can I replace my current income? You need to be able to answer those questions. So you want to put enough information there they can. So your financials you're going to put in there, you're going to do add backs. Any personal expenses that you have that you're running through your business, like any good business owner would, you're just going to have your accountant pull those out. You want it to look as good and profitable as possible so you can show a franchisee, here's the potential, here's what we've done, and you can talk about any qualifiers that you want to then. Now, most of our clients, we put franchise agreements at 10 years. Once in a while, there's somebody that wants it shorter term, like 5. It's usually 10 years, and with the opportunity to renew again, either 5 or 10. There's like renewals. As long as they're in compliance, they're not out of compliance, they're allowed to renew. Sometimes they don't want to. They're like ready to sell, and that's fine. I mentioned to somebody in the hall, they're allowed to sell their franchise at any time they want to. And maybe 2 years in, they decide they want to sell. You still have right of refusal of who they want to sell it to. So that person they've found that wants to buy their franchise, they come back through your discovery process, qualification process. You decide whether you think they're going to be a good fit or not. That's why I always tell franchisors, when somebody wants to sell, they're usually telling you ahead of time, you help them, right? Oh, let us help find you a buyer. That way you're in the process of helping to find somebody to take that franchise over. So after that, after you've disclosed them, everything looks good, now we have what are called validation calls. So now you have franchisees up and running. Now they're going to be listed in the FDD. I don't think that really came up earlier. So every year when you do renewals in the spring, any franchises you sold, their name and contact information gets added to your FDD. So a franchise prospect has the right to call anybody in the back of your FDD, right? So you're not supposed to direct them anywhere. There's ways to do that. We'll be happy to teach you how to do that, right? There's always franchisees that are a better connection. They're the head of your franchise advisory council or came from a similar background. So obviously you want them to talk to your superstars, right? But they have the right to call everybody in the back of that FDD. Then we're getting down to financing, right? This may be out of order. I mean, financing to me, you want to get that going right away. If this person seems pretty serious, they're going to buy some kind of a business, get them over to whoever you're working with, whether it's Ralph or somebody else. And there's several really good finance companies that we work with out there. We're happy to introduce you to all of them. They're going to be part of your team, right? But you want to get this person qualified quickly or out of your life. You don't want to be, because you've got other candidates you want to talk to. Discovery day, meet the team day, sometimes it's decision day. So this is, everybody likes each other, and this process can happen as quickly as 30 to 60 days, or it may be drug out a lot longer. Whatever the case may be, this discovery process, they're financially qualified, they like your model, you like them, they come to visit you in person. They want to meet you, the rest of the support team. Sometimes you're going to make them do a ride-along with a franchise, whatever the case may be. I mean, it's like the final process. You want somebody to make a decision that weekend when they come to visit you. You take them out to dinner. They pay for their travel expenses to come there. But you are going to really want to get to know, this is the last time you're meeting them in person probably, and you want them to make a decision within the next week, right? But usually this is about an 80% closing, right? Not all. Sometimes they just make a decision they can't right then, or don't want to for whatever reason, or something changed in their life, and that happens too. So, awarding the franchise. So, a lot of times it's good to do like a signing call, because we're doing stuff online now. So before they start signing anything, you do it along with them. You're reading the sections, exactly where they need to sign, making sure everything is correct with them. They have, the documents they're going to sign, they have to have those filled out at least 7 days ahead of time. I forgot to mention, I know Bill mentioned earlier, so the disclosure process is a minimum of 14 days before you're allowed to take their money and sign, and it almost never happens that quickly. It's usually, if it moves along quickly, it's like 90 to 120 days. I mean, it takes a while to get their money put together, all those things, but still, it's a minimum of 14-day waiting period after you disclose them that you're allowed to sell them a franchise. But they also have to have the documents they're going to sign all filled out ahead of time for at least a week as well. So they sign, scheduling training dates. Oftentimes you're going to give them some type of a to-do list. Here's a pre-opening to-do list, a pre-training to-do list, whatever those things are about your model that's really, really important, okay? Introducing them to vendors, suppliers. How many brick and mortar do we have here? Just a couple? One brick and mortar? Yeah, okay, so 3, all right. So, there's a lot going on there. You're talking about introducing the vendors, real estate people, finding a location, which you always have final say-so. What that nightmare that Maya talked about, they went out and was opening 3 locations without even running by her. Yeah, you don't want that to happen. I went through this earlier. Also, something else. When you're talking with a candidate and you figure out they're not a good fit for you, assume they know someone that is. This is marketing, folks. That somebody knows somebody that is a good fit, and hopefully they were so impressed with you, they're going to send you someone that is a better fit than they are. So the whole point about that is, don't treat them badly if all of a sudden you realize they're not a good fit. You assume they're going to lead you to someone else that is. So this was a survey that happened not too long ago. It is with a total of 120 brands. This is by the International Franchise Association. So these franchisors had 2,533 company-owned units and 24,000 franchise units. So it was a pretty big mix of all types of brands, industries, food, non-retail, a little bit of everything. And so at that time, the participants said, we plan on growing by 2,046 franchise units in 2024 out of those 120 brands. 2,000. This is where they were spending their money to find leads. So it's kind of broken down among those 100 and some franchisors. Digital, brokers, website, public relations, trade shows, email, referrals. Now this obviously can vary greatly by what kind of a model you are and where you think you can attract the best franchisees for your model. There's going to be certain areas that you can probably attract better franchisees than others. Yeah?
Has that increased more over the last few years, like digital, what was it, 5 years ago?
Oh yes.
Now?
Yes.
The trends and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, the number of deals they did from franchise expos was way bigger. Like you go back before the growth of all the franchise consulting groups, there weren't that many places that you could market to find franchisees. I mean, franchisees, candidates would find ads in a newspaper, Wall Street Journal. We would do seminars. We'd go into a city and we'd advertise for a week leading up to it and do a seminar at a hotel. And then as the internet popped up, and then as consultant groups popped up, there's a lot more resources for them. So yeah, digital has really picked up over the years, without a doubt. So, leads to sales, all right? Gives you an idea. So, application, that's what I was calling a CQ, candidate questionnaire. Some people do call it an application. Discovery day, so it's almost, I said 80, that's 73%. There are some brands that they have a really high closing ratio at discovery day. There's also some brands, they run people in, they get so many leads that, because they're just like a hot brand at that time, or they're in a hot industry. I've seen where they'd have 25 to 50 candidates in for discovery day. Obviously, they're not going to sell 80% of those, right? They're just a little more open. Let's just get them in, here to meet them in person. Always be in development mode. Remember I said earlier, development is the whole process of finding and awarding franchises. So, you're always looking, you're going to have people that are going to buy a franchise that disappear on you, right? You're going to have people, for whatever reason, are going to get out of your franchise. They're going to sell, maybe it's a health reason, they don't like it anymore, or they have this other great opportunity, whatever the case may be. So you're not always wanting to be in growth mode to expand your brand, you're also replacing people that have gotten out of your brand. It's going to happen. It's no different than about anything else, right? You're going to have your top 20% of your franchisees are going to be your superstars, your brand builders. You love them. Then the next 70%, they aspire to be them. They never will be. You just hope they get better and better. Bottom 10%, you're getting them out of the system, right? We call it exiting them with honor. You're going to see it. They don't listen to you. They're not growing their business. They're not sending you royalties. You get them out of there. It's not going to get any better, I promise you, right? You give them some warnings. Here's what you have to do to get back on track. If they won't do it, we're going to help find you something else, all right? I'm going to find a buyer for you. Let's help you find some other business to go to. They walk down the road with money in their pocket. They're not bad-mouthing you, and you don't get upside down with them. A little low-hanging fruit. Isn't that a cute dog? I'm not sure if a dog would really get it orange like that. So, we talked about where the leads are. So you're going to start marketing franchises for sale on everything you have. Every cup, napkin, signage, whatever. Anything you have your brand on, you're going to be letting people know you have franchises available. You don't know where these things are going to come from. And it's often where they saw it several places, right? Marketing to sell franchises is no different than any other kind of marketing. You want to have a marketing mix where they might see your name and brand multiple places. Yep, anything. Whatever you have. Don't be ashamed of it, folks.